Big event in Fort Wayne, Indiana this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. It is one of the longevity big events. It's the Fort Wayne Health Jamboree. Check it out at longevity.com. You don't want to miss it, although I believe the event has already sold out. If you live in or around the Fort Wayne, Indiana, Indianapolis area, and you would like info, check it out at longevity.com. There's always room for more, quite frankly. Going to be giving free health lectures. Myself, Dr. Wallach, Steve Schultz is going to be giving a business presentation. We're bringing out all the heavy hitters for this event. So if you're on the fence about what we do and just need a little bit more persuasion, a little bit more information in order to make you take the plunge into health and wealth, check us out this weekend in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's going to be fun. I myself am speaking Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m., I believe, something like that. It's a two-day event. Lots of stuff going on, so just check it out at longevity.com. You're not going to be disappointed. Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is Fire Your MD Now. If you'd like to speak with me, it's 866-582-9933. That's toll-free, 866-582-9933. Of course, the website, fireyourmdnow.com. And if you're listening to the podcast and would like more information after the live broadcast, that number is 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. Now, knowledge is power, and you don't know what you don't know. And we are in a society in the United States where we are manipulated all of the time by the media. And the manipulation is so sophisticated, honestly, that the people that are involved with it don't know that they're doing it. Hey, it's my opinion that half of the people talking about the news, more than half, I would say the majority of people reporting the news, the majority of people writing the articles for Time Magazine and Newsweek and the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and all of your local newspapers, the majority of the people writing stuff about health and about economics don't know any better. They are completely invested in the allopathic reductionistic worldview. Now, my colleague, or my friend Alex Jones, my radio colleague, Alex Jones, is of the conspiracy theory ilk. And, when you drill right down to the bitter end, there's bad and evil stuff going on at the very root of everything. For goodness sakes, it was the pharmaceutical companies that started World War II. Big bad stuff. The Rockefellers were Nazis before there even were Nazis, right? Big bad stuff. When you drill it all the way down to the very core, big bad, evil stuff. But the insidious nature of this beast is that most of the people involved with medicine in the United States just don't know any better. They are puppets on a string, and they don't even know that they're on a string, which is why this particular attempt at domination of a particular market share, and this is the medical market we're talking about, is so completely effective, because the doctors and the PhDs and the nurses and the physician's assistants and the researchers don't know that they're being played. They just don't know it. Because the education starts at the brainwashing starts at such an early age that people, unless you're born with an open mind, unless you are born with a contrarian spirit, unless you are born with the courage to question authority, nobody questions authority. No, it's not easy to think outside the box. If I ever wrote an autobiography, the hardships that I've had to face in my career just because I've been a naturopathic physician would make most people shrink into the shadows and run away screaming into the night. This is not an easy job. This is not an easy profession. It is not for the faint of heart. And yet, our profession reflects the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that healing is easy. Healing is not a complicated, sophisticated process that should only be attempted in multi-million-dollar, high-tech, expensive medical facilities run by MDs. It's not. Healing is easy. Surgery is complicated. Healing is easy. But the way that the educational system is set up in the United States and the relationship between the media and the schools and just everything, it is such a gigantic, sophisticated ball of, utter and complete control that the average scientist who goes through the PhD program, the average person who goes through the MD program, the average person who goes through the nursing program, comes out the other side of those programs believing that if they were not taught it in school, it's just not valid. This is the main sticking point here that we need to just observe and notice. Your MD does not own medical science, and yet your MD believes that they own medical science. Your MD is completely blind to their shortcomings. And the allopathic, MD-directed pharmaceutical and surgical centrist medicine that the MDs are trained in, and the profession, the culture of the MD, is so rife with arrogance and hubris that it is breathtaking to me. This, I think, is the most breathtaking aspect. There are two really kind of overarching aspects of modern American medicine, medicine in the industrialized world that stand out in boldface to me. Number one is the complete and utter enrollment in their own worldview that MDs have. MDs believe that if they were not taught it in medical school, it's just not valid, and they don't really even have any conceptual understanding that their piece of the medical pie, reductionistic, allopathic, pharmaceutical centrist medical training, disease management training, they don't know that that's just one piece of the pie of medical science. They actually believe it's the whole pie. And they actually believe that everybody else is an unscientific, back-of-the-bus, alternative, dangerous quack. They actually believe this. Not because it's true, but because that's what they've been trained to believe. And they do not question what they've been trained in. And this is the problem. And also, because of the cultural cachet that this profession has been granted, because of the legislative and legal powers, actually the power over life and death, right? The only other people that have license to kills are, military people and CIA agents. And the police officer, if there's a cause. Right? They can kill people and nothing happens to them. Well, the MDs can kill people and nothing happens to them. That type of power generates a certain amount of hubris and a certain amount of arrogance. And as the profession plunges forward and as more time goes by, as they get more time under their belts being the top dog, they get full of themselves, and this, to me, is the most remarkable thing about the allopathic MD-directed profession. They are completely full of themselves. I cannot tell you how many times I have had patients who used to be patients of the MDs, and they were treated for years with blood pressure medicine or with blood sugar medicine or with cancer treatments or with, one fake knee and then another fake knee and then another fake knee and then another fake knee and all of this nonsense, which they finally just become frustrated with and come to my office kind of as a last resort, or maybe just out of curiosity to see what the guy has to offer, right? Maybe this guy really isn't blowing smoke. Maybe he really is telling the truth, and I fix them. I fix all of these things. We fix these things. Right? We fix these things. I had one breast cancer patient. Her cancer, by the way, in my clinical estimation, was caused by Premarin. It was a side effect of the synthetic hormone Premarin, and breast cancer is a known side effect. It's one of the major side effects of Premarin. I believe that her breast cancer was caused by Premarin, so one of my therapeutics, and of course, remember, I can't treat cancer. I wasn't treating cancer. I was giving her medical support to support and promote the health of her body in the face of a diagnosis of cancer. Cancer went away. And she went back to her MD who worked about 3 blocks away from my office in Massachusetts, by the way, went back to her MD for a follow-up. The MD did another mammogram, and this mammogram, of course, showed no more cancer in the breast, and by the way, no more fibrocystic breast disease. This all happened over the course of about 8 to 12 weeks, right? Completely different imaging on the X-ray. And the MD had the old X-rays and the new X-rays. In the old X-ray, there's cancer and fibrocystic breast disease. In the new X-ray, there ain't mammogram, there ain't nothing wrong. 0. Now, did that guy call me up and say, oh, my God, I can't believe it. I've never seen remarkable improvements like this in my entire career. What did you do? Let's have lunch. No. He yelled at his nurse for bringing him the wrong films because he thought that these couldn't possibly be the same mammograms from the same patient. And then he stormed out of the room and, told the patient to just do whatever she wanted to do. Harumph. Even in the face of overwhelming evidence that alternative, quote-unquote, alternative treatments to what they do, I don't practice alternative medicine, but they consider it alternative because they're not trained in it. Even in the overwhelming face of evidence to the contrary, that there are, in fact, alternative, quote-unquote, treatments that are safe and effective and produce specific and measurable results, even in the face of evidence, they don't care. You need to get this straight. Ladies and gentlemen, your MD is a coward. Your MD toes the line. Your MD thinks inside of the box of what they have been trained in. They are Machiavellian ministers of mediocrity. There, I said it again, and I coined it here first last week on this radio show. Your MD is a Machiavellian minister of mediocrity. And that's all you're going to get from them if you go to them with a chronic disease. So stop it. Please, just stop it. For goodness sake, fire your MD now. You don't need them. Log on to fireyourmdnow.com. Check out the online health recovery program. Buy a book, listen to a CD, get a clue, change your diet, take your nutritional supplements, and get your health back. Now with Rich calling about a blood disorder. Rich, thanks for calling. You are live with Dr. Glidden. Welcome aboard.
All right. I definitely have that question about the blood disorder. It's ITP is the name of it. But I also have a comment about something else that I've experienced myself. Back in the middle of August, I broke my forearm and, was really diligent on the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, and much despite the doctor's recommendations of minimum of 3 months in a cast and up to 6 months till I was back to normal usage, about 6.5 weeks out, and they've taken the cast off, and I'm well on my way back to being able to use it normally. I'm quite excited and happy about that.
Well, you got to love it, right? I mean, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. And what I want you to pay attention to, however, and by the way, good for you for, thinking outside the box. Good for you for giving this a try, right? So really, you got to give yourself a big pat on the back and go buy yourself something expensive this weekend as a gift for yourself for really, being good to yourself. Now, but what I want you to pay attention to moving forward is whether or not the MDs who are in charge of your disease management ask you any questions of significance about what it was that you did in order to speed up your recovery time. You want to keep an eye on that because they're not going to. And you need to just put that little data point inside your brain to make it help you understand how these people think and how these people work, because you're going to have to be dealing with these people to some extent for the rest of your life. And as you go down the stream, if you understand more personally their strengths and weaknesses, it will help you in the long term. Now look, here's the deal, man. ITP is called immune thrombocytopenia. It's an acronym for that. And this is a condition where your blood runs out of the stuff in the blood that helps your blood clot, and the stuff that's in your blood that helps your blood clot is called platelets. Now, the MDs have referred to this condition as immune thrombocytopenia because they assume incorrectly, by the way, they assume, and even if you go to the medical textbooks, you will read that we think that thrombocytopenia is caused by some mysterious immune reaction. We don't know for certain, but we think that it is. And so because they think that it is, and because some MD at some research center thought that this was related to an immune reaction years ago, every other MD thinks that it's related to an immune reaction, and because they're all in lockstep like the Nazis, they all think the same thing, even though the thing that they think is not grounded in reality or fact. And it's crazy. They postulate that this is caused by some autoimmune disorder. And by the way, when an MD tells you that something is an autoimmune disorder, really what they're telling you is we have no freaking idea what's causing this, but we just don't want to look stupid, so we're going to make up some fancy schmancy name to make you, the patient, feel inferior to the doctor's incredibly superior intellect. They do the same thing with genetics all the time. They'll tell you, that your condition is genetic, even though it's never been proven to be genetic. They'll tell you that it's an autoimmune disease, even though it's never been proven that it's an autoimmune disease. And they get it wrong all the time. Now, from our point of view, this condition is caused by, from the proper perspective, right, everything makes sense. So what the heck, man? It's a nutrient deficiency. Platelets, the thing that your body doesn't have enough of, are made in the bone marrow. Now, if you cut your arm in half, or you cut your leg in half and look at the long bones, in the middle of the bone there's a red bullseye, and it goes the entire length of the long bone. It's called the marrow. And the bone marrow is where the platelets are made. So when your body does not have enough platelets, it's not because your immune system is mysteriously destroying them, like sneaking up on them like ninjas in the night. It's because the bone marrow has been compromised by not enough nutrition. The main thing that happens there is when the body runs out of calcium and magnesium and the minerals that the bones need to stay strong, the marrow starts to become infiltrated with connective tissue to prop up the strength of the bone. And when you get connective tissue in the marrow, you don't have marrow in the marrow. And if you don't have marrow in the marrow, you can't produce platelets. So from our point of view, it's a simple nutritional deficiency giving you weak bones, which is why your arm or your leg or whatever it was that broke. Illegitimate non est carborundum, lady. Don't let the bastards wear you down. Illegitimate non est carborundum. Rich, are you still with me?
Buy yourself something expensive.
Hello.
Hello.
Rich, you're still with me. All right, very good.
Yes.
All right, so here's the deal. What we do in the case of thrombocytopenia is we completely disregard all of the nonsense the MDs are telling us. Oh, and by the way, what part of your body broke? Was it your arm or your leg?
It was my forearm. And by the way, the ITP is not me. That's a friend of mine's 5-year-old son.
All right. All right, very good. How'd you break the forearm, by the way?
A ladder I was working on, rung broke, and I fell awkwardly. And
oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, so, sometimes, for instance, in people that are taking Fosamax or Boniva for osteoporosis, one of the things that happens is when they take those drugs for an extended period of time, it actually makes the bones weaker because the bones fill up with old bone. And old bone is extremely brittle. So one of the things that's starting to happen now with the elderly is spontaneous fractures caused by Fosamax and Boniva. So a person that's been taking Fosamax and Boniva for years has really weak bones. So they'll just be walking down the street. They'll, step improperly or step down a curb improperly or step down a stairway improperly and their ankle breaks or their leg snaps in two. And it wasn't the stress on the bone that did it. It was the weakness of the bone that allowed the fracture to happen. So sometimes when people break their bones, it's the stress. Like, if you fall off of a ladder and you break your arm, well, it's probably the stress of the fall, right? But be advised. One of the reasons that bones break is because they were weak to begin with. And my clinical experience has been that, professional athletes and even people just weekend warriors, people that take the nutritional supplements as a regular part of their life, their bones and joints are way stronger than somebody who doesn't do that, and it takes a significant greater amount of stress in order to make this, make the bone actually break or fracture. All right, so just be advised as you're moving forward. So it's mineral deficiencies to the bones. It's the weakness of the bones which allows connective tissue to infiltrate into the bone marrow, which displaces the bone marrow and gives the body not enough bone marrow, so now the body can't make as many platelets as it needs to make because it doesn't have as much bone marrow as God intended it to. So what do? Well, we provide the body with nutrition to support and promote the health of the bones, and within about 6 months, usually it takes about 6 months, but in kids it should take just a really remarkably rapid amount of time, maybe 60 days max. The connective tissue will dissolve, the body will replace it with bone marrow, and the platelets will come back to normal. So the recommendation here to support and promote the health of the bones in someone who has a presumptive diagnosis of ITP is 1 healthy start pack. You don't know how much the kid weighs, do you?
About 65 pounds.
Okay. So here's so it would be, we'd give him a 100-pound dose because we're actually trying to fix something rather than maintain something. Mm-hmm. So I'd give him the 100-pound dose until he's 100 pounds, and then I would just maintain the 100-pound dose until he gets bigger. So it would be 1 healthy start pack per month, and he's going to need 10 glucogel a day. That's going to be 300 a month. So you're going to need to get 1 bottle of the 240-count glucogel and 1 bottle of the 120-count glucogel, and give him 10 a day. That's hard to do, so give him 12 a day. Do forward breakfast, forward lunch, forward dinner. Now, if the child can't swallow those pills or doesn't want to swallow 4 glucogel capsules 3 times a day, then give him the glucogel liquid. And in this case, it would be 1 ounce 3 times a day. 1 ounce of the glucogel liquid 3 times a day. And that's pretty good tasting stuff, actually. Kids usually love the way that the glucogel liquid tastes, and if they don't, you can mix it with a little water, make popsicles out of them, and everybody loves those. I mean, they just love those. Kids go crazy for the liquid glucogel mixed with a little water and frozen as popsicles in the freezer. So the recommendation is 1 ounce of that 3 times a day. And give him 1 ounce of the glucogel 3 times a day, and give him 1 selenium capsule twice a day. 1 capsule of selenium twice a day, 3 ounces of the liquid glucogel a day, and 1 healthy start pack a month. And within, I'm going to say 60 days max, there should be a noticeable, measurable turnaround in his condition, and life is good. And this is a pretty interesting, or I'm not going to say easy, but it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a fun thing to help people get on the other side of, because you can see the blood values getting better, because the MDs measure this stuff, and every time he goes in for new blood work, the platelets will get better, and they'll get better, and they'll get better. And then, of course, the MD will attribute his success to just a natural thing, because in a small percentage of cases of this illness, it just goes away all by itself anyway. So in any event, that's my take on this. Give it a try. Thank you for calling. Thank you for supporting your community and the people in your life by thinking outside of the box and wanting to help them with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. You know, it's another of life's great ironies, folks. But it's not the medical professionals who are going to help people to recover their health. It's longevity representatives. It's you. It's lay people. You are the last best hope that your community has for living a long, healthy, and wealthy life through the agency of longevity. Because the longevity company has health recovery formulations in place. The longevity company has wealth recovery formulations in place. You just have to avail yourself of whatever it is that floats your boats inside this domain, run with it, and life is good. All right, Bonnie is up next with a question about kneecaps. How's your kneecap, Cap? Bonnie, you are live with Dr. Glidden.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking this call. I have not had any knee issues in the past. When I was 62, 2 years ago, I injured my knees by crawling approximately 50 feet on a concrete floor without knee pads.
Why on earth did you do that?
Pardon me?
Why on earth did you do that? I have to hear this story.
I was asked to. It was just I was in a gym, and I was asked to do that, and I did it.
Yeah.
And boy, the following morning, I awoke with the worst pain I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And so I ended up at an orthopedic specialist who put me in and out of physical therapy.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, and diagnosed me with crushed kneecaps heading towards possible knee replacement.
Ouch.
And, and meanwhile, I've been doing a home kit, ultra-wrap magnetic system, and ultrasound, using the ultrasound gel.
Oh, smart girl.
That's one thing I used, and I've been taking some flavonoids.
Yeah.
And I do have the breakdown here if you want to know what they are, but only for about 3 months.
Well, flavonoids are not going to fix this problem. You're taking the wrong dog to the hunt. I mean, that's like trying to put a fire out with fire. It's not going to be effective. Flavonoids are really good for certain things, but they're not any good for this condition.
All right, and also some homeopathic cream for the pain.
Yeah.
And of course, icing is what saves me. If I put ice on, I get temporary relief. Other than that, it's been bad.
Okay, so the emphasis here on temporary, right? So the stuff that you're doing that's outside of the mainstream, the alternative quote-unquote stuff that you're doing is helping to manage the pain, but it's not really doing anything to fix the kneecap, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So really, this is, again, not rocket science, and what we do here is one thing. We lean on the fundamental belief that your body knows how to fix the kneecap, that your body wants to fix the kneecap, and that your body can fix the kneecap to the degree that the kneecap or caps are fixable. Now, there are points of no return. You can damage a bone or a joint or a vein or an artery or an organ to such an extent that it just cannot bounce back from that. That's a possibility, but it's extremely rare. Most of the time, your body has the ability to fix itself and to bounce back. And most of the time, all that it needs is the proper raw materials to fix itself. You know, I mean, for goodness sake, Bonnie, if you're building a house, and you've got the blueprints and the permits and the carpenters and the lumber and the nail gun, but no nails. You know, nothing's getting built that day, right? You need the nails, right? So your kneecaps need the nails, so to speak. That's the only thing that you're missing here. So what we do is get you on board with a medical nutrition program that provides your bodies the raw materials that it needs in order to optimize its knee health, all right? So, and that's a relatively easy thing to do. What's your body weight?
185, and I'm 5'8", and I'm 64.
Okay, so you would need 2 healthy start packs a month, 2 healthy start packs per month. And you need 28, let me see, 28 divided by 3, 29. I'm doing some math in my head. Going to give you 30 glucogel a day. That's 10 with breakfast, 10 with lunch, 10 with dinner. That's 360 glucogel a month. So you're going to need 1 glucogel bottle of the 240 count. And you're going to need 1 glucogel bottle at the 120 count. And I would also like you to take 3 bottles of selenium. So that's 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium a month, 1 bottle of glucogel at the 120 count a month, 1 bottle of the glucogel at the 240 count a month, and 2 healthy start packs. Confabulation of products, there's a new word I just made up, that combination of products will provide your system with all of the raw materials that it needs in order to support and promote the health of the kneecap. And usually when we do a product like this, it's going to take about 21 days for you to notice a positive change, which is then going to build and grow on itself like ice melting in the springtime. However, in order to amp up and increase the effectiveness of this program or any other medical nutrition program, you have to stop eating food that's robbing nutrients from the body. You have to stop eating food that's harming the bones and the joints, so to speak. Now, we've identified 10 foods as bad for you, 10 foods that you shouldn't even look at, let alone eat. And I'll give you that list for free. Just go to my website, fireyourmdnow.com. And on the front page, just opt in for my free monthly newsletter. And we're actually sending that out more than once a month now. We're trying to get it out 2 to 3 times a month. Just opt in, give me your name and your email address. I don't sell the emails. We keep them in-house. There's no funny business there. This is a free newsletter. So when you opt in for my email newsletter on the front page of my website, we automatically send you an email with a link to a page on my website that has the 10 bad foods listed on it and a little video that tells you why. So opt into the email list, get those nutritional supplements. So this is the deal, right? You go to an MD, he tells you your condition's genetic. He tells you your condition is autoimmune. You have no realistic understanding of what either of those terms mean. You feel immediately intellectually challenged, immediately intellectually inferior, and the MD says it with such an air of certainty that you just buy it, hook, line, and sinker. When the fact of the matter is, if you were to hold their feet to the fire, I mean, you don't have to be a knucklehead about it. You don't have to be mean and nasty about it, although I would be. If you just ask them nicely, really, what do you mean it's autoimmune? And then they'll backpedal and say, well, we think it's autoimmune. Well, what does that mean? Well, we think that your immune system is attacking itself. That's the only explanation we can come up for why you don't have enough platelets. Well, because it seems to be more increased after you have a viral infection in some cases. It seems to be more increased after you have a bacterial infection. So therefore, we think it has to have something to do with your immune system. Well, that's quite a stretch. But, you know, we don't question these people about it because we trust that they're smarter than we are. We trust that they know what's best for us, and we trust that they know, you know, the state of the art of what there is to know about medicine, but they do not. This is the biggest mistake we make when swimming in the waters of disease management in the United States. We incorrectly assume that the allopathic pharmaceutical centrist, surgically motivated MD knows what's best for us. But for goodness sake, they're not God. Your MD only knows what they've been trained in. And again, you know, this is not a personal scathing. It's a professional scathing. I know lots of MDs who are just really fabulous people, really great people. I mean, you know, funny, erudite, articulate, caring, concerned, humanists. They're good people. You can be sincerely incorrect. You can be sincerely incorrect, right? So, but nonetheless, it's the profession and the pharmaceutical companies really that kind of breed all of this arrogance and just fuzzy, illogical, nonsense science, which they pass off as being the de facto word, you know, the alpha and the omega of scientific thought, when really it's just theoretical speculation based on fuzzy logic, quite frankly. Theoretical speculation based on fuzzy logic, delivered by a profession that is not trained in the pathogenesis nor the cure of disease. They're not concerned with how to cure this. Your MD isn't concerned with how to cure anything. The only thing your MD is concerned about as far as cure goes is emergency medicine. So they're concerned about stitching the bleeding artery together so you don't bleed to death. You can consider that a cure. They're concerned with, you know, fixing the break in the leg bone so that the bone it doesn't get gangrene and they don't have to cut your leg off. You could consider that a cure. But they're not concerned with the cure for heartburn. They're not concerned with the cure for arthritis. They're not concerned with the cure for high blood pressure because they don't believe that these things can be cured, because that's not the focus of their training. They're not trained in medicine. They're trained in the pharmaceutical management of disease. They're pharmacists. It's the pharmaceutical management of disease. That's what they're trained in. And, you know, For certain things, I guess it's an okay thing. Every time I go to the dentist, I thank God for Novocaine, right? I thank God for the sterile technique. Heaven forbid I have to get surgery on any part of my body. I thank God for anesthesia, right? And antibiotics. Great stuff, really. But that's the beginning and the end of it. That's the beginning and the end of it. That's the beginning and the end of it. But most of us go too far because we just don't know there's another way, because the MD profession and with pharmaceutical backing have gone out of their way to convince you that their you-know-what doesn't stink, and that everybody else is a back-of-the-bus alternative quack. So snap out of it, folks. Take your health into your own hands. Educate yourself just a little bit. Go to fireyourmdnow.com. The least thing you can do is opt in for my free email newsletter, right? We'll just dribble this information on you via the electronic media a couple times a month, and then maybe eventually it will move you into action. However, if you're already on our side, if you're already enlightened, join us. Click on the longevity button at fireyourmdnow.com. Join our cause. Someone from my organization will get in touch with you. We'll hold your hand, and we will show you how to spread our message of health recovery through medical nutrition to everybody in your world, and life gets really interesting and better after that. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. See you tomorrow.